So you have received a revelation. Very auspicious. I hope for the best. I pray that through you, her wish will be granted. Have you heard of Seath the Scaleless? In legend, he turned against the ancient dragons. He became Lord Gwyn's confidant, was granted dukedom, and was allowed to pursue his research. At the Regal Archives, he immersed himself in research on scales of immortality, the one thing that he did not have. But his very research drove him mad. The Archives became a dungeon, a place for sinister experiments. Now, nobody dares even approach the Duke's forbidden archives. It looms over this land high atop the mountain. But I should warn against even an approach. If you require rest...
Hello there. I was expecting you. This place is truly magnificent. More than expected, even. As promised, I shall share the new sorceries with you, and the secret of Seath's immortality. The secret of Seath's immortality. If you have fought him and were imprisoned, you must know that Seath is a true undead, different from ourselves. His wounds close promptly, and no mortal blow affects him, granting true insulation from death. His wounds close promptly, and no mortal blow affects him, granting true insulation from death. It is an effect of the primordial crystal, a sacred treasure pillaged by Seath when he turned upon the ancient dragons. So only by destroying the primordial crystal can you so much as scratch his hide. And it so happens the primordial crystal is in the inner garden of these very archives, the Crystal Forest. The tomes stored in these archives are truly magnificent, a great pool of knowledge, the fruits of superior wisdom and an unquenchable desire for the truth. Some would say Seath had an unsound fixation, but his work is a beautiful, invaluable resource. All progress demands sacrifice, and I certainly bear no antipathy for that wonderful, scaleless beast. The tomes stored in these archives are...
Okay everybody, my name is Michael, and welcome back to Dark Souls 1. Today we're going to be continuing on and wrapping up the Duke's Archives. We spoke originally there to the Dark Moon Knights, that was the bonfire woman with the bronze armor, in Anne Orlando. When she mentioned Seath the Scaleless, we learned about his horrible experiments that I mentioned many times when we were running around in here. And we also talked to our good old friend Logan, and Big Hat Logan will now actually sell us his spells, and we're going to take a look at it another time. But he mentioned how we have to defeat Seath the Scaleless. We have to go to his home in the Crystal Cave, and when we get there, then we can destroy his Crystal of Immortality, and then finally we'll be able to just plain old kill him. Now, what we have to do is head over here, and we can get some ridiculous armor, the crystal armor, I think it's called. The armor of that guy that invades us just before the first battle with Seath, right on top of the elevator. It looks sort of ridiculous because it has this crystal growth coming out of it, and it really reminds me of like a fungus or maybe some sort of, I don't know, eczema or something on the armor. It doesn't look pretty, even though it's made of crystal. It looks sort of like a disease to me. I don't like it. And this is the Crystal Cave. This is where Seath lives. And let us head down in here. This area is pretty easy to fall down. You just sort of have to memorize the way. This is probably the area of the game where I died the most the first time through here because of a very serious and very annoying problem, and that is, you can see it here, I believe you can, invisibility. There are actually invisible walkways all throughout this area. And if you don't figure out exactly where those walkways are, you're going to fall to your death. It's the ultimate version of Dark Souls has no handrails. And if you take a look there, we're not going to get too close, that is a moonlight butterfly like from the Darkroot Gardens. Seath had some sort of, maybe Seath had some sort of influence over that place, I don't know. But they will not become super aggressive on us as long as we don't get too close. We just have to keep our distance and we're going to be okay. Now let's take a look over, there's nothing over here, right? No, probably not. Probably nothing important. Let's take a look over here, and this is the first area we can go to, the first invisible bridge to Seath. And you'll notice there are little puffs of energy or crystal or something like that. And if you look at them, they are crashing down and sort of exploding without continuing on down into the pit there. That means that we can walk over that area, although really you should just memorize exactly where to go. And if you use a prism stone here, which we got a few of them over there, you'll notice the prism stone will stand there and not fall down. Whereas over there, the prism stone... Don't fall in, please. Oh, well, maybe you can stand there too. The prism stone, you can use the prism stones to find and make a sort of a path on the way to... See, path ahead, that's a developer message. So you're going to see that whether you're online or not. And it's best to even just run across. It doesn't seem like it should be. It seems like you should go slowly, right? Well, actually, running across is just fine. This is the toughest crystal golem in the game. He has a ton of health. He hits really hard, and he can very easily knock you off of this. Fortunately, though, he mysteriously does not respawn. Never let it be said that the makers of the Dark Souls games do not have a little compassion. That's the only time that we have to fight him, so don't worry about that. We're going to head over here, and for some reason on my game, I don't know if it's just in the Xbox version, when I'm running across this section here, it sort of pushes me to the right a little bit, almost like there's an invisible wall in the middle, and I'm being pushed, almost pushed off the edge, and I kind of have to be aware of that, but I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about that. And if we go over here, we can drop down and start on the path there, but we're going to immediately turn around and find 4 crystal lizards. I don't know if I got them all. There's 1, there's 2, I guess I only got half of them, but there's 2 more if you want to come back here. It's pretty easy to get to once you kill the other golem. And if you take a look over there, there's an area that we are damn sure not going to be going to. That item there is a blue titanite slab, and it is agonizingly difficult to get across there. Unlike the other paths that we're going to be on, that path requires you to take twists and turns and bends all the way down to it. It's not a straight line. And I've only done it one time, and it wasn't worth it. Because remember, you can get a blue titanite slab in the Artorias of the Abyss DLC in the Royal Wood, in a chest there. So, unless you're really aching for a second one, really don't bother with that. It takes a long time and it's not worth it. That item down there on that corpse, it's just a soul item, and there's a crystal lizard, and if a crystal golem, excuse me, and if you go down to there, I don't believe you can get back up. You literally just have to die or homeward bone out. So there's not really a point unless you really want that soul item. Well, we're going to try to get across this section, and weirdly enough, let's see if I can make it. Come on, come on. Weirdly enough, it is easier to do that when you are just running pell-mell. Remember what Goff said. What is bravery without a dash of recklessness? If you take your time and slowly inch across it, it is agonizing. It is painful how long it takes. It's just not worth it. Now over there's a moonlight butterfly and a soul of a hero, but I'm not going to get too close to it. Usually I can manage to get it, but every now and again it aggroes on me when I get that soul of a hero and kills me, so I'm not going to bother. Now over here, I just want to mention the initial time it took me to do this was easily hours. 4 or 5, it might have been 3 or 4 hours just getting across to here the first time through, because I'm terrible at the platforming in this game, and it was just painfully difficult. So, it is just a nightmare. And speaking of nightmares, you just have to memorize it. And the only way I was able to do this without falling is I just memorized exactly where I need to go by doing it over and over again. Now, if you take a look in this room, there is a whole lot of clams in here. There's a regular oyster bar in this area. And what you want to do, I probably don't need to tell you after our trip to the Great Hollow, you don't want to fight these guys more than one at a time. They are truly the toughest enemies in the game, despite being shellfish. Get anything? Ooh, I did. Okay. And I believe there's one to our left, sort of hidden away there. But I'm going to go after him in a bit. Now, if you notice straight down there, there was actually no fog gate in this area that we can see just yet, although the fog door is in this room. Talking too much, I'm going to get killed. Shit. Thought I would have more time to get that guy, but... Whoa! There we go. Come on. Yes! I got really worried there. And one of the problems with these clams you saw just here is that I was actually blocked from view because this clam was here and I really couldn't see down there, and it made it more difficult to fight that one. Now, over there, that is actually where this target is right now. That's where the boss door is. And if you can see, that's actually the crystal of immortality, or the gem of immortality. What did they call it? I forget. And that thing over there is where we're trying to reach. When you first come down here, before you actually go and fight Seath, you enter the boss room sort of like with Calamite, where you don't actually have the fog gate there. And it's only after you die when you go in there once, then the fog gate comes back. That doesn't happen with Calamite. Exactly, you have to go and talk to Hawkeye Golf before that happens. But, yeah, you can see in there, just barely see the black outlines of cursed figures in there. Yeah, they're down there. Hope there's just one of these clams. And the reason why I'm killing these clams is because the first time you go in there, you will actually... the clams may chase you in there, and you'll have to fight the clams and Seath. Please be dead, please be dead. Yes? Okay, thank goodness. And fighting those clams and Seath, you've essentially signed your death warrant. Because if one of them makes it in there, you might be able to kill him while Seath is distracted. But if more than one get in, yeah, you're pretty much a goner. Whoa! It took a long time to stand up. This guy was frickin' taking his damn time. There we go, okay. Now I think, except for that one that's hiding over there in the corner, we have essentially taken care of the clam in this area, I think. So let's get a little closer down there, hoping that clam doesn't aggro. Yeah, there he is. And, you moving, buddy? No. And in this room, what we have to do is run over there, and as soon as we enter into this little cave entrance here, where the crystal men, the cursed men are, we'll get a little cutscene, and we will have sort of teleported closer towards the crystal there. And we can smash the crystal, and then we can damage Seath. Now, Seath's attacks, I mean, we have a fairly large boss chamber to fight him in, but he is huge. He's one of the biggest of the enemies in the game, bosses in the game. And when we go in there, fighting him is no joke, by any means. It's a dangerous fight if you go up and fight it in melee. However, I'm going to show you that you don't really need to do it in melee. Let's just take a look at here. The cursed figures here, you'll notice Seath's breath weapon attack not only damages you, it causes crystals to spike up in the ground and cause a continual low-level damage as you run through them. And it also slowly curses you. So there is some merit to having a high curse resistance as you go through this. Seath is one of the most unique dragon designs I've ever seen. It looks amazing. Let's just get really close to this, and we want to wait for him to get as close to us as possible, because when we destroy this, then we're going to have a moment where he is going to be stumbling, and we can hurt him. And there we go. And we're going to try to get around him. Ooh, we're doing good damage, 438. And you can just usually run through his little his little tentacles there. Oh, we're almost getting cursed. Almost getting cursed there. What you can do, though, to totally avoid the fight entirely, is to run around and snipe him with arrows. And as soon as he gets close to you, you just have to time it right, but as soon as he gets close to you, you can bolt as fast as you can away from here, and just get away as quickly as you possibly can. Whoop! Fuck. We're dead. Alright, I'll cut back here. Okay, so we're back in here. And if you come back, and it's likely that you'll die at least once on this boss fight, because it's pretty tough, you have to re-destroy the Gem of Immortality. It's not just permanently destroy it, so somehow it restores itself when you come back in here. So you just have to go through the whole rigmarole again. I died there most especially because I don't usually fight this guy in melee. What I usually do is what I was talking about with the bow there. I try to kind of trick him into getting, into sort of giving the runaround, and then just hammering him with arrows. Although I am getting really good damage on my Scythe there at 438. That's pretty damn impressive. And you can hit him, especially if you're a Dex character, again and again and again with these arrows to take him out. Seath also has a tail cut, which I was also kind of going for there. That's how you get the Moonlight Greatsword. But it's an intelligence scaling weapon, so I'm not going to use it, so I don't much care about it. I don't think I even need to aim. See this is such a big target, I barely even need to aim. See, we've already done 1,000 points of damage, and it hasn't really even been... We didn't spend all that much time hitting him there. It becomes a little tricky to continue to get him to turn around and move in exactly the way you want. Because, well, he's going to move into the corners right and left here. He's going to get persnickety, he's going to get little orneries. I think they kind of figure out what's going on. And, of course, what I'm doing now, I almost overdid it with the arrows. That can happen, too, if you want to just speed things up really quickly. There we go. It's been a while since I've actually got this tail cut, so I don't actually remember where you have to hit. This is one that's really, really hard, but the Moonlight Greatsword is obviously an amazing weapon, and if you are a mage character, you know, if you're a sorcerer, there's really no doubt that you want to use it. That you want to at least try to get it. Although, I do remember the first time I got it, I was a little annoyed because, because I really didn't feel all that much like I was a sorcerer. I mean, in Dragon's Dogma, when I played a mage character, I really felt like I was a magic user. I'm not saying that I wouldn't be that it wouldn't be great if they could mix in some melee stuff here and there, which they did, you know, with the Mage Knight and the Magic Archer. But really, if I'm going through this game with a shield and a greatsword, I don't necessarily feel, look at him flop his tentacles around. I don't really feel like I'm a mage, you know. There's a fine line between mixing exactly where you want to put your spell sword build and, and balance that with freedom of movement and really feeling like you're playing your role as that particular class. If you're not a Dex character and your bow is doing paltry damage, it just takes more time. It's just a little bit more time-consuming. It's not going to be that big of an issue. I know this is kind of lame showing you the cheese approach to killing Seath, but I make these for people that are really starting out with the game and, need to be kind of led through it. And there it is, Seath the Scaleless, beaten by a bow and arrow. Beware that once that fog gate's open, those clams still have a hard-on for you, and they are going to charge right in here. So, like with the other Lord Souls, a bonfire mysteriously kind of spawns in. But I think, have we avoided them running in to try to kill us? I think we have. Sometimes, though, they've charged in and tried to kill me right at the end of all of this. So we're going to talk to Logan in just a moment, who I believe has switched over to his, well, I don't know if he's changed, actually. He might not have changed at all with his dialogue. I do know that the end of Logan's quest line, how you really are supposed to continue it, is by buying all of his stuff. And that cost, I think I mentioned in another episode, like upwards of 200,000 souls altogether. And that's way too much of an investment for a character that's never going to use any of those things. So, yeah.
Oh, hello. Time is a resource. Let's delve in promptly. I can't remember the death. The undead. What the other one first?
I like that all of that is translated as on there. So his new spell is Homing Crystal Soul Mass, has a group of sort of sorcery orbs appear around your head and will leap out and attack someone if they come nearby and hit them. Soul Arrow, standard. Crystal Magic Weapon, if you're like a spell sword and you want to use this on your weapon. Crystal Soul Spear, one of the best sorceries in the game. 44 intelligence, that's incredibly high. However, like, you have 4 uses of this, and I think you may not even need that many to kill the final boss in the game, just with, just 4 hits with that, and he's dead pretty much, I remember. It's kind of a joke. Soul Spear, very excellent, very powerful. And I think if you buy all of these, he will go into his next story mode, but although he's sort of already going there. Logan, like all the other characters in the game, is currently going hollow. He is going insane, probably because of the same reason that Seath went insane, because he's researching things that Seath was researching, and he is losing his mind, or perhaps he's losing his mind when he's discovered what Seath has done. We are not going to be continuing the quest line, because once we buy all of his stuff, then we can actually go back to the room where we first fought Seath, where we put on the rare ring of sacrifice and we had to die. And if we do that, after buying all of his stuff, Logan will be in there, hollow, and totally nude. I think he is sort of developing a hard-on for this idea of him being a scaleless monster, of him having no scales, and interpreting that as him being nude. And so he runs in there completely nude, except I think for his hat. And you can also get his catalyst that way, and his armor and his hat.
Hello there. Oh, I understand. We are in the midst of a revolution. Oh, there you are. It's been a while. Or were you just here? This fascinating place defeats my sense of time. Oh, there you are. Oh, this
After you buy all his stuff, he no longer recognizes you, and just sort of tells you, "Who are you? Get out of here." He's gone almost completely insane at that point. Well, I think we are just about ready to wrap up the Duke's Archives at this point. If you are not a sorcery character, there's not a heck of a lot here to truly interest you, I think. It's mostly meant for characters. There's good stuff here for sorcery builds. Although if you are a sorcery build, it's actually quite challenging to be in here, because all of the enemies, those crystal golems and the crystal hollows, and of course Seath himself, are highly resistant to sorcery. So there's a lot of interesting stuff, but it's also quite challenging. Seath, by the way, I didn't show this, but Seath is pyromancy is quite effective against him. Just like pretty much most of the other bosses, except for the final boss of the game. So I think I am just about done now, and I'm going to be ending the episode. Have a good day.